Okay, this is my new 2 or 3 week old, I'm not sure, European Nightcrawler bin. And to be honest, I peek in the top of it every day just because this has been a newer bin and I've been trying to make sure that everything looked okay. It didn't seem like there was going to be any mass exodus. It's the first time I've done anything in a bin. I had been using the Worm Factory 360 up until now. So I do have this, I'd say juvenile, cruising along the top here. And I've just kind of been throwing as we've had paper, or this was under pizza the other day, but it was really clean, a frozen pizza. I've just kind of been adding stuff to the top. Usually when I look, there are big old worms hanging out underneath them. But of course that's not going to happen today because that's what I was expecting. So I'm just kind of looking, I see a few mites. So just looking at the moisture content, it's probably time to feed this bin. There's a little worm. It smells very earthy, which is good. I've been watching a whole bunch of world composting videos, and he did a whole experiment a couple years ago, and then did another video about what bedding materials he prefers, and uses wood pellets, which I'm actually really excited about. We've been using them for cat litter. Speaking of which, here's my helper. We've been using them for cat litter for quite a while. I mean, I probably used them for cat litter for about 20 years. So I go to Tractor Supply every couple months and buy 2 big bags, and that's what we use for cat litter, huh, Dob? So that's great to know that, you know, there's something besides coconut coir that we can use. So again, this bin is one that I just kind of kept adding worms to from the Worm Factory 360. There don't seem to be a ton of worms on this side, but I don't think this is the side I fed either. What are they doing, Dob? My original Nightcrawler cocoon bin, I moved everybody into here a week or so ago. So I will say the way that this is set up, it's really hard to see. There's cocoons. There's one of the big guys who likes to hang out on the top. I've kind of kept it a little bit wetter. This is from the original nursery. Yeah, there they are. And I will say the other side of the bin feels pretty dry. So it might be why these guys are hanging out up here. Is that there's more moisture up here. It is December 12th, and I just finally carved my son's pumpkin last week. He had gotten a pumpkin patch in October, and it sat on our front porch, and I thought, oh, surely it's going to die. I decided I didn't want to deal with the pumpkin seeds, so I went ahead and cut it open and got the seeds out, and it's been sitting there a whole nother week, and it's still totally fine. Kind of waiting for that pumpkin to go bad before I put it in here. Get over how long that guy is. I'd had some longer European Nightcrawlers in the Worm Factory 360, but I really feel like they've gotten even bigger in this bigger bin. There's just a little bit more surface area. Look at him cruise along. And he stopped. Okay, bud, we're gonna look under you. Just gonna see. Definitely lots of castings. Here, I'll put you back over here. Holy cow. Oh, they have that. Look at that. That is cantaloupe. Never in my life did I think I would spend so much time looking at rotting food. But babies are liking that. A handful underneath. They're also liking it. You really don't get worm balls with European Nightcrawlers. I've learned from watching tons of other YouTube videos, but food that they like, there do tend to be more. So, oh yeah, there's whole lot of worms. Whole lot. Down here where this cantaloupe. A lot more worms. It's a lot darker over here. So I'm really just going all the way to the bottom to kind of aerate what's going on in here. I'm going to rebury cantaloupe. Mostly it doesn't smell, and I don't have holes in the bottom because this is inside. And I've watched enough videos now that you really don't have to, if you're not running super wet bins, you really don't have to have holes on the bottom. I think this is the third piece of cantaloupe that was in here. So it had been frozen. It's just still taking it quite some time to break down. Put it in my hand. There seems to be a pretty big difference between the types of worms that are in here. Some of them are like super long, and then there've been others I've shown along the way that are like these fat, chunky. So now I'm kind of wondering, because I've been reading about Uncle Jim's, that definitely when you order red wigglers, you also end up getting a lot of blues. So I'm wondering if I've ended up with some blues when I ordered European night crawlers. And I'm really okay with that. The whole point really was just to try to use up the food scraps that we have. But I think there's a pretty significant difference between, I don't know, I'll have to research the blues a little bit more to see. I don't know if you can see, the clitellum on this one is not nearly as pronounced as, I don't know, maybe. I don't know that I really care, except that when I want to get red wigglers, I'm not going to order from Uncle Jim's. See if I can start a real red wiggler population. And then I've ordered African night crawler cocoons, which I've had now maybe 2 weeks. Let's make sure you stay down in there. I mean, some of these for sure, I think, are European night crawlers. Just not sure if they all are. So anyway, I'm just clearing some space down here. I have to put the lid on while I go find the food because I have a helper. Okay, as usual, I've done a horrible job of showing what actually went in here, but what I can tell you is it was about half a bag of frozen sweet kale salad mix that went bad, a container of blackberries, which I'm not sure how they'll do with those. I tried Googling if blackberries can go in the worm bin, and all I kept getting was raspberries, strawberries, which can. So I'm going to assume blackberries are going to break down enough to do that. And the carton kept popping open in the freezer, so I really just want to get them out of the freezer. So there's that. And then I was so excited. I see all these worm bins with corn cobs in them, and it's just not something we ever have, but we ordered takeout from a restaurant, and my son's food came with corn cobs. So I ate the corn and froze the cob, and now we'll have that. And then I put coffee on the top of it. I did a whole scoop, 20 cc's of the dry mix that I like to put on everything, which is kelp meal, diatomaceous earth, eggshell, and I always forget one of the ingredients. Oh, neem tea leaves ground into a really fine powder. Now I'm going to spray this down pretty good just because it's so dry. It's a lot drier on the side. And then cover it up with a solid dose of shredded paper.